Hello everyone, and this is the behind the scenes in the making of The Night Shift, my latest short film. I was inspired to make The Night Shift after seeing some old, gritty 70s car chases, and I wanted to replicate that same realness and feeling in a simple short of my own. Now, this was a rush project. I came up with the idea and I wanted to shoot it in about 3 weeks' time, so as a result, there was a very dragged out post-production process lasting about 15 months. But at the end of the day, I am satisfied with how it turned out. The story was very basic. I wanted to show 2 different action sequences, and I also wanted to satirize it a little bit. Point out that most action sequences aren't very necessary. I also wanted to use vintage cars, because I really like that old 90s JDM look. Rubizel, a friend of mine that I met at a boxing match at a fashion show in 2018, once showed me his '89 Corolla, and so I asked him if he wanted to put it into a short film, and he was enthusiastic. I also drove a '95 Prelude, so these were 2 perfect cars for the sequence. My cousin James plays the protagonist, and he wanted to dress like Magnum PI, so I gave him a leather jacket and he put on a Hawaiian shirt. The vast majority of the scenes were shot in one overnight on June 13th of 2020. We had James and Rubizel as our actors, my friend Davis was a driver of a 3rd car for the car chase sequences, and my friend Harrison worked as a drone operator for the drone shots. The majority of the show was filmed with a Canon T2i DSLR as well as a DJI Mavic. Most of the lighting was natural. The only time I didn't really use natural lighting was when I had an LED light attached to the camera for the interior car scenes. During the highway sequence, the street lights were warmer than the LED light, so I simply wrapped the light in a manila envelope and it matched the temperature. All in all, I wanted the whole thing to be gritty and realistic and a little sloppy even, so I instructed them to drive a little bit roughly, and I wanted the fighting to be a bit rough as well, as if the people in the fighting had never fought anyone before.
More to the center of the garage, right here. Go Rubizel. Go James. And cut. 3, 2, 1, action.
I also had some car mounts given to me by Melvin, a guy who works at Comedy Driving, and those were used in some scenes as well. I tested the car mounts several times and they worked, but not as well as I'd hoped, and one time they did fall off, but luckily the camera wasn't damaged. But I avoided using the mounts for the highway as I was concerned about damaging the camera in the process.
Y'all see me? Just drive past me and then do the first U-turn and then try it again, okay? It's honestly like this light, out of all my lights in my top 10 light list, is number 7 worst. Davis, keep the speed. Rubizel, pick it up a little bit. James, pick it up a little bit. James, follow him. Good. Shoot, James, your lights need to be on, man. Back it up. Let's do it again. Go, Rubizel. James.
I wanted to get more drone shots in the final cut, however, we were filming right next to a regional airport, which is a no-fly zone, and unfortunately we couldn't get the drone to work in those areas. Originally, the final fight scene was supposed to take place on a riverbank, kind of like that one scene from No Country for Old Men. However, due to a mistake I made, we ended up on the wrong side of the river. The last time I had been at that location had been during the winter, however, we were filming in the summer, so that area was overgrown, and due to my poor location scouting, we realized that there was no way for us to access the riverbank. I was pretty tired, we were about 6 hours in at this point, so I just decided, let's just shoot it on the grass instead and see what we get.
Yeah, I'm running that way? Yeah, you're gonna trip right here, okay? Alright, let's make it quick. 3, 2, 1, go! Ah, damn it! Shoot, go back, come on. You gotta hurry, you gotta net. Let's go. I got the net. Come on. It's still going. Go.
I wanted the fight scene to be kind of like that one fight scene in Interstellar between Mann and Cooper, where there's really no sense of coordination, as these are two people who haven't ever fought before fighting each other, and that was the goal I had for that scene.
Shoot, that's really good. That's really good, guys. You want more? You want to keep going? We're back this way. Keep it over here.
Yeah. Same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
The incorporation of the train was completely unplanned and spontaneous, and I'm really fortunate to have it happen as it did. Once I saw the train coming and we could hear it, I ordered Rubizel and James to reposition themselves so we could reshoot the first part of the scene.
Get over here! James, get over here! Come on! Back to where you were! Come on, the train's coming! Let's go! All right, go! It's rolling whenever y'all are ready. Keep walking. Reach for your neck like you're tired.
After that all-nighter in June, I realized in the edit that we had two issues with the cut so far. The first being that the opening scene was simply too quick. We couldn't tell exactly what was going on, and we needed to shoot some additional shots in order to make it clearer to the audience. The second issue was that because the picture quality was dark, choppy, and grainy at times, we would need to have a good sound edit, otherwise the whole thing would just look messy. So I took a photo of James and I made a fake ID badge off of Photoshop, and then I had it laminated and we shot that scene with the badge. I then decided to make the opening shot with the drone a little bit longer in the edit in order to emphasize his isolation. And that with the ID badge scene would also encapsulate his boredom and his lack of purpose. We also tried to film some additional running scenes that night, but James pulled a muscle on the first take.
Oh my God!
You alright?
Holy crap!
From the biking?
Oh!
Give me a flashlight. You alright?
Oh my goodness.
To fix the second issue, in October I hired my friend Drake Smith in order to record sound for the cars as well as all the Foley for both of the actors. We filmed some extra scenes of Rubizel running with the folder on the stairs in order to emphasize the fact that he's stealing something. We then had Rubizel record his Foley of himself, and I recorded the Foley for James. Drake then connected various microphones to different parts of the cars in order to record their audio, specifically their engines and their wheels. Unfortunately, Rubizel's Corolla was totaled by this time, and so we used an MR2 instead. Harrison drove the Prelude for the audio recording, which Drake described as nerve-wracking.
Finna wear this hoe.
That night, while filming the Prelude exit the parking garage, Rubizel was stung by an asp, which rendered his arm numb.
Wow. Straight up burn.
I've had a crack it's fun.
I don't know, man. Poison is poison, dude.
It's weird because it feels like I have a knot right here now. Like a ball.
Yeah, your arm, your muscles are probably tensing up a little bit.
Just having a spasm.
I've always wondered what those things like actually look like. I
I've
thought they
never
were
seen
smaller.
one before.
Yeah.
I thought an asp was a type of snake.
No, that's a.
It was very difficult for him to drive, but he still stuck through it, and we got some good audio that night. A few months later, I would meet with Drake to record some more audio with the Prelude, and that would complete the sound process. For the edit, I decided to divide the short into 3 distinct segments by hue, based off of the film Traffic. The parking garage sequence is colored blue, while the highway sequence is colored yellow, and the final fight sequence is colored purple after the rising sun. Drake handled the sound recording and the sound mixing, and I gave him very few notes. I mainly told him to keep the sounds fairly rough and raw. I wanted to hear all the imperfections of the machines as I felt like it gave them more personality, and Drake delivered. There weren't very many VFX in the short because I wanted it to be realistic, but there were 3 effect shots that I did. In this shot, I removed the clock because it says 11:38, and I felt like this should be taking place closer to 4 a.m. In this shot right here, I digitally erased some equipment that was left at the base of the bridge. And in this shot right here, I added a glow to the gauges as I felt like it made it more interesting. I felt like music wasn't really necessary for this short, so I just grabbed a track from the audio library on YouTube and I just added it to the credits. So yeah, that's the behind the scenes of my short film, The Night Shift. I hope you enjoyed hearing how I made it and seeing the extra shots that we didn't put in the final cut. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.